Fear and love. Two choices. Two mindsets from which to interpret nearly any situation. Today, I choose love. But I did not always. Let me take you to my first job out of undergrad as an investment banker on Wall Street. We're in a meeting and the client asks a question. I know the answer, but as the word starts forming in my mouth, something stops me. My heart starts racing, my throat tightens, and my thoughts start going, what if I'm misremembering? What if I sound silly? What if I make a mistake? As I'm spiraling, I hear a colleague from across the room make the exact same point I was too afraid to share and receive glowing praise. That day, I go back to my desk feeling defeated, thinking, maybe I'll never be good enough. Maybe what I need to do is work harder and sacrifice even more. I didn't know it back then, but I was stuck in a constant fear mindset. Sure, this spurred short-term action, but it also led me to excessively avoid risks, procrastinate, and feel burnt out. And after a few months of this, I was done. I desperately wanted to let go of the fear and reconnect with a more joyful, more confident version of myself that I felt I had lost. The question was, how? Was the solution an external change, like a different job? Or did I need to make a change within? Today, I'll share my journey from fear to love. I will also share a tool that you can implement anytime you need to make this shift yourself. I spent dozens of hours on research. To my surprise, by being afraid all those initial months of my career, my brain was functioning exactly as evolution designed it. The fear response, palpitations, stress, sweaty palms, kicks in quickly by our brain's threat detection system before our rational thinking can fully assess the situation. Negative experiences imprint stronger than positive ones. Based on loss aversion, we feel the pain of a loss more intensely than the pleasure of an equivalent gain. In marital conflict, research shows that it takes at least 5 positive interactions for each negative one for the couple to have good odds of long-term success. Across psychology, negativity bias is well documented. And fear has its place. But when a networking session triggers our fight or flight response, this wiring is not so helpful. I found it empowering to realize that fear does not mean we are broken. It's actually quite natural. Moreover, we have the power to tip the scale back in our favor. By consciously cultivating a larger number of love-based thoughts, we can counteract the weight of fear. To me, love is a great encompassing term for all that which is positive and expansive. Joy, curiosity, kindness, growth mindset, boldness. Reframing fear thoughts into love thoughts is a very powerful tool. When we consciously shift our perspective, MRI studies have shown that there is an increase in brain activity in regions associated with rational thinking, and a simultaneous decrease in those associated with fear. Moreover, by consciously practicing this reframe, we're able to build new neural pathways, and over time, become better at reducing the fear response and building emotional resilience. Psychologically, research has shown that love-based emotions such as joy and curiosity broaden our perspective, giving us access to better problem-solving skills and creative thinking across any situation. In other words, where fear narrows, love expands. So how do we actually make this shift? I came up with a technique that is simple and easy to remember, as well as based in evidence. I call it BAR, bar. Not the type you have a drink at, with no judgment. BAR stands for breathe, assess, and reframe. Remember my client meeting, the one where I froze? I had another one coming up. But this time, I took a few moments in my desk beforehand to practice BAR. It looked something like this. First, breathe. Everyone with me. Taking deep, long breaths activates our parasympathetic nervous system, which calms down our fight or flight response. Now, assess. Observe your heart racing, and remember that this is normal. Hear the fear thoughts saying, what if you make a mistake? What if you can't connect with the client? Realize these are only interpretations, not facts. And finally, from this more mindful state, reframe. Love might say instead, I am here to jointly problem solve with this client. I am so thankful that I get to challenge myself and grow. The result of doing BAR that day is that I walked into that meeting with confidence and answering questions felt natural. By practicing BAR day after day, I noticed that I stopped making myself small out of fear. Fear of what others might think, fear of judgment, or fear of failure, and instead started embracing the power and the expansion that love confers. Let's try BAR in another situation, a common GSB scenario. Here, I have felt overwhelmed by the number of social commitments. First, breathe. I might be overwhelmed, but there is no real threat. Now assess. The fear thoughts might be saying, if I don't show up, I'll never get invited again, and if I don't get invited again, I'll never have friends, and if I don't have friends, I'll die alone. Remember that this is just a story you're telling yourself. And finally, with this mindset, take a moment to reframe. Love might say instead, if I take the time to recharge, I'll show up with more energy and more presence to those moments that I do choose. Let's take a final scenario. Take a friend here that chose entrepreneurship over the corporate route and is feeling a little bit of anxiety. Again, first breathe. Career choices might trigger anxiety, but again, there is no real threat. Assess the fear thoughts, which might be saying, if I fail, I'll have a permanent blip in my track record and then no one will hire me. And remember, these are not facts. It's just an interpretation. And finally, from this more mindful state, reframe. Love might say instead, entrepreneurship is my dream. Learning is my end goal, and regardless of outcome, the learnings will be additive to my next venture and the one after. I encourage you to, anytime you start feeling fear thoughts arise, try BAR. Choose the reframes that work for you. BAR does not prescribe the solution, but it does quiet down the fear so that your true intuition and values can lead the way. So to answer my initial question, did I need to make an external change? No. By reframing my mindset, I was able to show up with more joy and experience deeper growth in the exact same job. Sometimes, a change in our mindset can lead us to experience a radically different reality with the same partner, same friends, or same job. However, if you do need to make an external change, making it from a place of love will ensure that you act with clarity and peace, as opposed to fear. In my case, it eventually led me to my job in investing, and later to come here to the GSB, both incredible opportunities that I could only embrace once I stopped letting fear control my life. BAR is not a one and done. Sometimes I still wake up in fear. As we discussed, it is natural. The difference is that I now have the tools to recognize it and to make a change faster. And when I do this, I notice that I show up as a better partner, a better friend, and a better leader. For those of you who already strengthen your minds these ways, I hope the science validates you. And for those of us just starting, remember, a moment to breathe and reframe is all you need to choose love over fear. Thank you.